Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. So, thank you so much for joining us today. It's the last day of this year. So, I hope we will end this year with something new, something very important. So, before we start our today's sessions, let's introduce our today's distinguished guest speaker. Professor Dr. Luqman Chuah Abdullah is currently a professor at the Department of Chemical and Environmental Engineering, Universiti Putra Malaysia. He obtained his Bachelor of Engineering degree in Chemical Engineering from the University Teknologi Malaysia and PhD degree in Chemical Engineering from the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. His research areas include chemical processing, material engineering, and oleochemical and environmental engineering. As an active researcher, he had supervised 37 PhD and 31 master students, of which 25 PhD and 31 master students had completed their studies. He published more than 600 publications of journals, proceedings, books, and technical articles in the various fields of chemical, material, and environmental engineering. He has awarded Research Scientists Malaysia by the Academic of Science Malaysia. In 2013 and Malaysia Rising Star Award by the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia in 2015. He is currently editor-in-chief of the Pertanika Journal of Science and Technology, UPM, and editorial member of the Journal of Chemistry, Hindawi and Processes, MDPI. And there is another big identity, he is the top 2% scientist in the world and also one of the 21st scientists at UPM. So I hope you will enjoy this session. So over to you, Prof.
Assalamualaikum. Again, very good morning. Thank you, Zoho, for the very nice introduction. Very kind of you to introduce me. Yeah. First of all, I wish you a happy New Year because today is the last day of the 2022. Yeah. And, so it's not a very appropriate day probably for many of you, or maybe on holiday now. But anyway, still happy to be here and able to share with you some of the ideas. Yeah, so maybe some of you have attended my previous talk before, though there's a little bit. They are quite similar to the previous talk, but anyway, I add a few things in the talk as well. Yeah, maybe they will help to improve. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to share that the idea with all of you. So, okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, Prof. I can see the slide.
Okay. 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 The title of today is "How to Write a Good Quality Research Paper." Actually, it is quite a challenging thing to write a research paper nowadays, compared to about 20 years ago, 20 years ago. Then I back from my PhD. I think that time writing a research paper, I wouldn't say it's easier, but I think it's not as challenging as today. Although there are more opportunity, more facility, much easier for us to submit journal compared to 20 years ago. When I first remember when I submit my first journal paper, I had to send by post, right? writing the manuscript, print them out, send by post, then waiting for a couple months, sometimes even years, then wait for the feedback from the reviewer and editor, and do the revision and submit back to the editor, and waiting another time, about a few months to years for the feedback. So now everything is much easier by clicking on the submission and the online. So everything will be quite fast. But also that you get the feedback very fast. Either you get the editor accepted for reviewing, or they get rejected very fast, immediate. That they tell you that this journal are not suitable for our journals, and they reject, even send for the reviewer to review. I think I've been changed over the past 20 years. In that there are more and more journals available online. Yeah, of course, mean that there's more opportunity for us to submit our journals, but also there are more and more challenging environment for the researcher to publish a paper, because due to the improvement of and the help of the internet, the development of internet, web of science, so the web technologies, so the researcher can easily detect that any similarity research or something that have been published before, so making it that the novelty and the demanding from the editor and reviewer are getting more tougher, and they become more demanding on the quality of the paper. Yeah, it's not that easy as compared to before. Yeah, because previously you might publish a similar article, because that without help of the internet, that the reviewer might not able to detect that any similar research have been conducted. They can't even do a comparison or something. But now with the help of internet, the reviewer can easily detect that any similarity of your work with others, and also that they can even compare the quality of the paper with others and sort of things. Yeah, then especially they emphasize on the novelty, the uniqueness of your work, that's all. So it becomes a very challenging world now, in the research world now, especially in the publication of journal of sorts. So what I can do today is that to share some of the hints or tips that maybe to help you to enhance your publication, so that you have a better chance to get accepted for publication. So this is what I aim to share today. Okay, so without any delay, let me introduce myself. Myself is Dr. Luqman Chuah Abdullah from the Department of Chemical and Engineering. So I have published some paper like Zoho I mentioned about that. Yeah, I have about 20 years of experience in writing journal papers. I remember that my first articles published in December 2002. That's my first article accepted and published in the journal. Until today, I almost have I have around 432 papers that have been accepted as in the journal publication. So I would say I'm very experienced as compared to many professional and very experienced journal writers. I'm still a learner. I still continue in learning. So, but I'd like to share some of the experience, hints, or maybe the idea that I learned from my experience. Okay, so I'll come out this talk. Yeah, understanding is I aim to help you to understanding a good journal preparation, and how to choose a good journal to submit, component and journal manuscript, and publication ethic. These are the 4 components of my today's talk. But what I won't cover is that, and I didn't expect that that you may have, is I won't make you as an inside expert. This, yeah, I can't, you can't attend my talk today then and immediately become an expert. That's what I can't help. I only can share my experience and how much you will learn from that and how much it inspire you. It depends on individual experience and understanding. Okay, that's a kind of declaration first. Okay, naturalist life will be happy and one he have to observe and never to write. Child, I mean, everyone say that. Yeah. So if you don't have to write, I think your life will be happy. I think I totally agree with him because when I did my PhD, my supervisor never asked me to write immediately. He really encouraged me to write in the paper if I could, but he don't really force me to write if I can't. Yeah, so I quite thanks him for that. In somehow that I thanks him that he didn't push me to write a journal paper during my PhD study. However, it took me some time to learn how to write a journal paper before I published my first journal paper. So whether it's good or bad that you being forced to write a journal paper is very much depending on yourself. Yeah, I think maybe it's better to experience the tough time earlier, then you learn the easier path later. So yeah, if you don't have to write, definitely the life is much easier. But in the real world, that writing about journals is not only the must a need, but it's more to other factors as well. We'll discuss it later. In science, no matter how spectacular the results are, the work is not completed until results are published. That's also one of the reasons that we need to publish or publication or result into publication to let people understand that the what we have done. Yeah, you might do a great work. Yeah, you might find a good finding, excellent finding, a great discovery. However, if you don't put in a written work, nobody actually know that, and nobody will acknowledge you as the person who discovered that. So it's very important to write it down so that people can share your knowledge. Yeah, can share your finding. Yeah, that's the thing. So later in lecture, we explore more tips to get your manuscript turned into a published paper. This is what the objective of today's talk. Task of writing a research paper can be daunting. Yeah, I think those who have experience in writing a journal or other publication, you definitely know that this is what you experienced earlier. Yeah, even with the groundbreaking research, unless the paper are correctly written, at best publication will delay, at worst never publish. So if we don't really seriously write your paper in the correct way, so maybe the best is you will still get it published, but with delay. Yeah, but the worst is if you take if you take the publication for granted, yeah, you don't really serious looking at how to write, prepare your manuscript, then you get this two consequences. So motivation to publish, dissemination, career prospect, improve funding, ego, and others. We have many reasons why we should write a paper. Maybe because of job requirement, maybe because of your PhD, your master requirement. Yeah, we have many reasons. Maybe for promotion purposes, maybe for grant implications, and you need a publication. So even for the self-satisfaction, yeah. Now I do my publication mainly for first to serve as a KPI for my career, but most of the time I take it as a kind of practice that to maintain the momentum to on the research. Yeah. Then also another thing is that to teach the younger generation how to write the paper, because they have they have their own career path to pursue. They really need the publication for their future promotion and others purposes. So for me, publication more to like fulfilling my basic need for KPIs, also to help the young generation. That's what I decide to share it in this talk. What make the good manuscript? Sorry, yeah. What make a good manuscript? Containing a scientific message that is clear, useful, and exciting. Your article must contain a scientific message that is very clear, useful, and exciting to the readers. This is very important. This is the first thing in your publication that your editor that will look into it. Whether you contain your message, you try to deliver to them. Is that clear enough? And is that the information provided is useful and is exciting? Exciting here means that if the topic interesting, cutting edge, or maybe can bring out the interest of the reader. Yeah, the manuscript will convey the author thought into a local manner. Yeah, you need to make the reader easier to read your article. They can follow your flow of your work, so that they achieve the same conclusion at the end of your work. So yeah, they say, okay, then you start from the beginning of the introduction, they will enter your work. Then you follow, they try to bring them from like a reverse pyramid, okay, from the general introduction, zoom into what the current problem issue, then what's the objective problem statement you try to solve, and what's objective you try to bring out, and what methodology you use, and what kind of result you have, and what discussion you have presented, then what conclusion you have achieved at the end. So this all this must have a logical manner. It's constructed in a format that best showcases on the author material and written in a style that will transmit the message clearly. So everything must be clear to the author and readers, to the readers and editors, reviewers. Yeah, editor and reviewers also part of the readers. Yeah, I mean that they are what's called the earlier leaders before your publication has been accepted and published. So it's very important that your content will be prepared in the best manner. Yeah, so that the leader can understand what you're trying to deliver and they accept that this is a piece of work that they are looking for. Okay. Good manuscript make leader, especially reviewer and editor, grasp the scientific significance as easily as possible. So don't play around with the bombastic word, twist a word here and there, make it like a Shakespeare plays that not even easier for them to digest. Remember, you are writing a scientific manuscript, so things should be easier for them to understand. Yeah, and it should be concise, straightforward. Yeah. Writing good manuscript not easy. Prepare to work hard on it. That's one thing that you have to always bear in your mind. Yeah. First, you have to check it over. If you don't take care, why should a journal? That's one thing. You won't take for granted on your own publication. So why the editor and reviewer care? There's no secret recipe for success, just some simple rule, dedication, and hard work. Editor, reviewer are busy scientists, just like you, make things easier for them to save their time. Yeah, you are busy, they are also busy. So they don't really want to waste their time to look at a piece of work. There's no word to be to read. Yeah. So presentation is critical. Decide on the type of manuscript. First of all, we have to understand that what kind of manuscript we can submit to a journal. Usually, journal will allow a few types of article or manuscript that you allowed to present, like full article, original article. The most important paper, then you have a full article, you full original article, right, with all the complete piece of research that is significant. So you have a very complete set of data, usually a longer article, more discussion, more result. Yeah. So there are also other type of publication like letter, rapid communication, short communication. These are the type of paper that provide a quick and early communication of significant or original one. more shorter than full article, usually strictly limited. Sometimes for certain field, let's say for example, the communication field, sometimes you can't wait until all the full research finish to publish one good paper, because why? Things change very fast. Sometimes what you have done so far, only one significant point, or maybe one or two significant point that considered a novel finding, and you request that immediate publication to claim your credit on that. So sometimes it's good to submit to communication paper or letters to claim that finding, because of somehow after some time we do research, we found that most of the work are not that novel, but however, one or 2 points in that are considered novelties, and we want to claim the credit on that. It cannot present it in the full articles. However, we can highlight the significance of that point and present it as a short communication paper. Nowadays, there are more and more new journal. They emphasize on fast publication, especially for the very fast cutting edge research, especially in the field of material science and others field, like optical science, something, physics or whatever. They usually present it in a letter format, because the discovery might be only one significant or one or two significant discovery, cannot be fully right in the full article, but they want to emphasize on the one or two important discovery in the fast, in the rapid, aim for rapid publication. Yeah. So the journal in the form of letter, yeah, material letters, whatever letters, yeah, there are catalyst letters. There are more and more journals that nowadays they appear as a letter form. So this kind of journal aim for the what's so called the short communication. Yeah, unlike the other or conventional journal, they have full articles and rapid publication like short communication. This type of journal only encourage a short communication journal. Okay, the other type is a review papers. Yeah. Summarizing the recent development on a specific topic, highlighting the important point to have a previous been reported, and introduce new information. This review paper, they are not aimed to reporting the new discovery, but aim to analyze what have been developed, what have been published, and what been reported before, and you summarize and critically review them and analyze them. Okay, often submitted invitation. These are the review. They usually by invitation. Many conventional journal they encourage review paper. However, some of the review journal they request that you to write a 40 maybe a short introduction, what your short proposal about what you're going to plan to write in your review article, for the editor to consider whether you want to accept you to submit a review article. Yeah, usually some of the conventional journal they might ask you to submit proposal before you submit your full review paper to them. Yeah, just to save their time, whether the topic they are interested or not. Okay, but there are some journal just particularly aim for review paper. For example, the progress in material science, I think that this journal they only aim for review paper. I mean, they don't accept other type of article like short communication, review paper, or others. They just aim for the review paper. Yeah. So before anything, any type of paper you decide to select, yeah. So first you self-evaluate your work. Yeah, is it sufficient for a full article? Yeah, or are the results that's so training that they should shown as soon as possible. If your result are so cutting edge and you worry that waiting for the whole cell experiment to finish, that by people by claim the credit first, then you need to submit. Then you maybe go for the short communication or letter. Yeah, so depending on what type of articles you need. Understanding of journal quality. Yeah, picking up the right journal for your manuscript is like changing a diaper. Yeah. It takes more experience than you do think to do it well. One group of way to rank the journal is quantitative. So with the score like impact factor, H index, agent factor, the article influence score, and derived for analyze of citation count. Yeah. Nowadays, if UPM, they're based on the ISI or Web of Science ranking, yeah, based on journal citation report. Yeah, yeah. So when you select the journal, somehow we select based on the journal impact factors. Yeah, but one thing you have to bear in mind is that journal impact factor, it doesn't mean that show that the higher the number, the better the journal. It just means that there are more and more people cited that journal. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's a good indicator to select the journal with high journal impact factor, because it means that there are more people use the article from this journal as a reference, or cite those article published in this journal. So but depend on the category and cluster of the individual background of the work. Yeah. So sometimes, let's say for example, so certain field, their impact factor are not that high. Yeah. So for example, material science can be up to 40 something. Yeah, the top journal can up to 40 something. But however, for let's say the composite, the highest might be 7 or 6 or maybe 5 impact factor. So it can be very different from the category or cluster of the research field. So different field, they have they're good. There are different impact factor or for those journal fall into the category. So before you decide that, you also should consider this as a factors. So refer the journal author guide and to note the style. So usually, before you submit, there's also the author guide, how you prepare your manuscript. Some author write the paper with a specific journal in your mind. So some people you already aim what journal you want to submit, and others will just write the paper first before then you decide which journal to submit. So for those who already have something in their some journal in their plan, in their list that they want to submit, it's good to read through the scope of the journal, scope or aim of the journal, then also the author guide to prepare the manuscript, whether the journal is suitable or not, and you modify your paper to suit the journal need. Yeah, if you don't have any idea which journal you submit, then yeah, you can prepare manuscript first, then find the journal that suit your manuscript. Objective of the style and language is to report your finding and conclusion clearly and concisely as possible. Yeah, you want to make sure that what you write is clear and concise. Yeah, because you are writing scientific article, it's not a novel, so it doesn't mean that the longer the better. And if English is not your first language, find a native English speaker if possible to review the content and language of the paper before submitting it. Regardless of the primary language, find a colleague editor to review the content and language of the paper, or maybe proofread it with a professional service, or get some proofread service from others. Yeah, language must be clear to the editor and reviewer. If language prevents the editor and reviewers from understanding the scientific content of your work, the possibility of acceptance will be lower greatly. There's a complaint from the editor that this paper fell below my threshold. I refuse to spend time trying to understand what the author is trying to say. Besides, I really want to send a message that they can't submit a garbage to us. They expect us to fix it. My rule of thumb is that if there are more than 6 grammatical errors in the abstract, then I don't waste my time to carefully reading the rest. You see how important that to take care of your language in your work. Yeah, they will invite unnecessary anger from the editor and reviewer. Yeah, and the poor language actually create more issue. Yeah, so even those your finding might be good, they have a great discovery, but preparing the poor language actually get a kind of negative impression toward the editor and the reviewer. So some of the comments from an editor say that the foreign problem appear too much frequently. Submission of paper are clearly out of scope, failure to format the paper according to guide of authors, inappropriate or no suggested reviewer, inadequate response of reviewer, inadequate standard to English, the submission, rejected manuscript without division. Yeah, these are the amount of comments that from one of the editor that they highlight that the issue they face when they receive the articles. Yeah, so try to avoid this sort of issue when you submit a manuscript. So before you start, what you should do, determine what is already known about the research topic and the gap that exists. It's just like you do your research, you do a lot of literature review, so you know that what is current topic, yeah, what is the current topic in your field, then what is the hot issue in your field, and the gap of that exists. You see, you don't want to submit something that people have really wrong reported before, or just you have been reported before. Because if you have ever served as a reviewer, you know that, especially in the Elsevier, the Elsevier Science Journal, when they invite you to review the journal, when they agree, they usually, other than let you to review the manuscript they submit to you, for publication, then the reviewer also have to allowed to use some tools to check. They always provide some tools to check similarity keyword that the author use in their work. So like Elsevier, for example, some of the journal, they have a link to check that some based on some keyword on the manuscript. So the reviewer can check that, okay, based on certain keyword used by the author, they'll find that they highlight certain journal that contain the keyword or relevant topic that for the reference of reviewer. So we can check on the link that provided by the publisher, and can see, okay, there are a list of publication that contain the keyword that used in your manuscript. Then also the same time that they allow us to access scopus for free of charge. Maybe to those who study UPM, that might not find it very strange. Why they allow you to use free scopus? Since we have a scopus, you have to understand that not all the university or institution that purchase the scopus service. So for reviewer, they don't have the scopus service. That's quite a interesting part to them, that they can use the scopus. But the purpose of allowing the reviewer to use the scopus is to check that any similarity or previously reported journal that relevant to the submitted manuscript. So as a reviewer, we always have to check that what is that the author show any gap of knowledge in their work. Okay, re-assist the reporting result or something reported previously. Okay, so determine the clarity and novelty of your research question by comparing it with the previous published paper. So before you submit your paper, check again in the literature that if there any the previous published work, what is the difference between your work and their work? Yeah, is that show any novelty of your work? Yeah, your current work should show some credit. Yeah, so show some novelty that not previously reported. Yeah, as compared to them, there are something that new. Yeah, people don't want to repeat something similar. Okay. Study and aim the breadth of gap from previous study, perhaps by using a different methodology and a bigger sample size. Yeah, maybe there are something that fall in between. There are some similarity. However, you can make a difference between your work and the previous work, like say by using a different methodology or bigger sample size or different materials or whatever. Yeah, try to indicate the difference of your work and the previous work. Yeah, people don't want to study something that are same or very close to each other. Yeah, read as much as you can about what has already been published in your field of research. Make sure that you make a lot of relevant notes as you go along the process. So it's just like doing a research, right? So writing a paper also need a lot of reading, a lot of literature review. So that the more you read, the more you understand the trend of your field. So the more you understand how to prepare a manuscript, that's very important. Yeah, so that you can compare the gap of the knowledge, yeah, what previously reported and what you are going to present in your current manuscript. So after you have done your preparation, then you should know your audience. Shortlist a few of the target journal. The aim or the scope of the journal usually mention the audience. So you can read the aim and scope of the journal to see that whether this journal is suitable for your manuscript. Yeah, normally they will tell you that this journal what they cover. Okay, view your manuscript from the leader perspective. Try to think about that, what they would like more detail on. So imagine that if you are the reader, if you are a reviewer, what you're trying to look into your manuscript. Yeah, you can put yourself in their shoe and see that if you're thinking for their point of view, what do you think they would think they look at? Yeah. This is the thing, a very important thing. Yeah, you change the position, make yourself like a reader, and try to read your article again and see what you expect from the article. Include the appropriate amount of jargon, ensure that the article text is familiar to target audience, and use the correct terminology to make your content more relatable for reader. Yeah. So you should use the terminology in your field that you target to. Yeah, you should have some keyword or some terminology that are familiar to the targeted leaders. Yeah, to the particular targeted journal. Yeah, so the audience will feel the kind of belonging. Yeah, your manuscript. Yes, this is the work that in our field because they use the terminology used is those words we usually use in our field. So make the reader feel the same, the belonging. Yeah. So try to use some terminology that commonly used in the field you target to submit. Keep your reader engaged, write with an aim to fill the knowledge gap and add purpose or value to your reader interact. So you should make the reader feel that there's a piece of work that they improve the knowledge of the reader and they actually make them interested to know more. Yeah. So keep them engaged is very important. Like in the way that they try to please the reader, try to tell them something new, something they're interested. Yeah, be specific. Make sure that you stick to your topic and be as specific as you can as your research topic and the audience. So when you are focusing on one field, so be very specific. Don't divert it too much. Yeah. So otherwise, they become loss of focus on the work. So very specific topic, and you stick to that. Make sure that your discussion, everything, you're between the scope. So 3 important learning rules in good writing: concise, clear, and logical. Concise is how much new information reader can process. Clear, assuming that your reader know that what you know. That there's a common mistake. And logical is that logical presentation of information to reader. To increase your chance of publication, clearly communicate your idea in writing. Logical guide your reader through the study, emphasize your study is significant to editor of your target journal. The last point is very important. If the editor cannot understand what is the significance of your work, when they read through your abstract, the chances of them to reject your article, your manuscript are very high. Yeah. So better when you write your abstract or something, that you have to show your significance of your work in the abstract, so that when the editor go around through the abstract, they understand that what you're trying to deliver and what's the important point that you try to highlight. Concise here mean that that you use try to use a sentence, short sentence, not a very long sentence. Yeah, long sentence make your mind twisted. So the mind have limited processing capability. People can only process 7 to 9 pieces of new information at a time. This is from the research. Yeah, generally people can only process very few pieces of new information. So what you should do is that 10 to 20 words per sentence, and varying the sentence length make the writing more interesting. So don't make it so uniform. Yeah, make sure you try to make every sentence 10 to 15 words or something like that. Very unique. No, try to have short sentence, long sentence. Yeah, yeah. Not not a very uniform length for every sentence, but you can change the sentence length. So some long sentence, after that with a short sentence, then with some mixed with some long sentence like that. So you get a mixture of the length of the sentence to make it more interesting to read. And one idea per sentence, and be sure that thoroughly explain the idea to the reader. Yeah. So one idea using one sentence, and make sure that you thoroughly explain them. Okay. Avoid unnecessary word. This is important. Yeah, this is a common mistake that we usually make in writing our manuscript. Do not use words that do not add the value to your idea. Always ask yourself, can I delete the word without changing the meaning of the sentence? If yes, then delete those words. And this is what I try to highlight many times. That if you use the latest word, you can download the editor from it's a in apps for Microsoft Word. That's one of the functions is that they sometimes they will suggest that some sentence can be more concise. Yeah, let's say in order to, you can actually first put do to. Yeah, in order to complete something. Why does that to complete enough? Yeah, why you should add in order to or whatever, unless you try to emphasize certain thing. Yeah, here are some examples. It's well known that most of the intense diffraction peaks are blah, blah, blah. So actually, it is well known that it can be delayed because that's not necessary. Don't add any value to your work. Yeah, it's what nothing mentioned. It's not what when mentioning in our previous study, as described previously. Previously is already mentioned as a previous work, so don't need to repeat in previous study. As a matter of fact, if there is a fact, there's a fact. So no need to put that as a fact. A number of studies have shown that. So these are not necessary. If you delete them, you don't change the meaning of the word of the sentence. Then just delete them. Remember, you are not writing a novel or storybook. So some of the word like it is for evident that. So evidently, it's for possible that, to change the possibility. It's interesting that to note that and notably. Yeah. There's another reason why. So they put therefore, they believe. In order to, that's two. It's clear that clearly that's the thing. So all this make your sentence more concise. Use a strong word, remake indicate that we still have no idea that what this sentence is about. Change it to a clear and the direct word. We estimate, we decide, we confirm. These are the strong words. Give some to your work so that they emphasize certain things. So here the example, we perform an analysis to investigate if adding the surface modified fiber led to an improvement in nanocomposite mechanical strength and resulted in a reduction in cost. So the whole sentence is wrong, 25 words, very long. Yeah. So we had slightly modified that into a shorter sentence by half, almost half. Yeah. So we investigate if adding the surface modified fiber improved on nanocomposite mechanical strength and reduce cost. See that the meaning is still the same, but the wording, the word count have been reduced to 14 words. So you can see that the more concise sentence, yeah, and the meaning is still remain. Yeah, this is what I mean, the conciseness. Common academic writing mistake. Never assume that your reader know what you do. Yeah, you need to explain it thoroughly. Yeah, don't ever think that, okay, the reader should know, so I don't need to explain more about that. Yeah, so put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, they might not know every A to Z about your work, so you need to give them more information. Yeah, for the reader to understand the context of the new knowledge, especially trying to explain something new. You need to link the new knowledge to existing knowledge. Yeah, that's why the literature review help. Yeah. Yeah, what you explain, you can cite other people's work and what the other people mention about that, so to support your view. So what the common problem in the academic writing in the introduction part, do not define the idea or theory, the theory, and do not identify the business problem. This is the common mistake in the introduction. For the method and result, do not describe clear, detailed methodology, and do not describe the significance of data. And as for conclusion, do not discuss the implication and do not discuss the future direction. This is the common mistake that make in the writing. Also beware of this, the qualitative words, some, most, about, few. These are very abstract. They don't tell you exactly what, how much, when, or where. Okay, so like for example, few sample experience the fracture when exposed to increased loading of fiber. How many is a few? Yeah, 1, 5, 15. We don't have ideas how many is few. Yeah, if you say 6 sample experience fracture when exposed to increased pressure of what? So this is clear. Yeah, 6 sample. Yeah. Avoid subjective word. Subjective word like surprisingly, strikingly, interesting. Academic writing should be objective, not subjective. Is the result really surprising, or this is a lack? Just reflect that lack of knowledge. You say surprising, it means that you don't really know that. Yeah, so that's why you're surprised. Avoid complex word. Yeah, author always should write it clearly and simple, that so that the reader can really understand their language. You see, yeah, especially the English is not your first language. So don't try to use a bombastic word. You don't really sure about your definition. You don't really sure about the meaning and how to use it in them. And for this endeavor to ascertain the efficaciousness of the program, we integrate the participant upon the completion. Why don't change the more simple and straightforward word, like to determine the success of the program, we question the participant upon completion. So the meaning are clear to the reader and it's more precise. So how to arrange your word, like for example, your topic sentence. Although water is abundant on Earth, 98 of the available water resources. So you always start with the topic sentence, develop the idea, then stress the sentence again. Is the sequence. So this is how they arrange that your manuscript. So when you know how to prepare your manuscript, you already choose the right journal you want to submit. So that you need to know what usually the structure of the journal. Usually the structure of the journal contain a title, author, abstract keyword, which in this component are used for indexing. Yeah. Usually you look at you use a Scopus Sign Direct, they ask you to find type in the word you want to search. So this keyword or the titles or the authors or whatever, will help the system to find to look for your articles. So when your paper have been published and keep in the database, those keyword is obtained from your title or your name and from the keyword, from the abstract or the keyword you provide. So these are indexing purposes. Then you have main content like introduction, method, result, and discussion, and conclusion. Then followed by acknowledgement, reference, and supplementary material. Yeah, this is my own personal preference. Yeah, actually, before you start your manuscript, you already have a result, everything in your hand. How to prepare that? My order is that don't immediate rush to write the abstract. Don't immediate rush to write your introduction or whatever. But first of all, screen out what the data or result you want to present in your manuscript. Mean that you have a lot of table figures that you already have from your data obtained from the data analysis. Yeah, you already presented them in the figures and tables. Yeah. So which table, which figure you aim to present in a manuscript? You cannot put all the figures and table in your journal paper because that will be too much, too crowded. So selected result and selected presentation, the tables, figures to present in the manuscript. Yeah. First of all, sit down and think which table, which figures I decide to put in my manuscript. Why? Why it's so important that to choose those figures and those tables? Yeah, because they are pretty representative of your result. Okay, then usually start with method and method, because the method you're already familiar with, so easier to write them. Then write the result discussion based on the figures and table you already selected. Yeah, each figure, each table, do a discussion based on that. Yeah. Then write the conclusion based on your result discussion. Then write your introduction. Yeah. So this will help you to define your problem statement based on your result discussion. Then follow the abstract and the title. Yeah. Then you define your abstract and title. Manuscript, write section by section, rest stressful. Yeah. Don't immediate write too much. Yeah. You think you are writing the whole manuscript at once, you find it very, very stressful. So try to aim for one section. Like just now I mentioned that you select your figures and tables. So based on each figures, you write one section about just explain and discuss about the finding, the data in your tables and figures, and discuss the result there. So each time you write one section, yeah, and the end you combine them. Yeah, get feedback from one section and beginning to write the next section. After you finish one section, yeah, you can pass to your supervisor, pass to your colleague or friend to review that, whether they have any question about their writing. Yeah, so this will reduce the downtime and receive feedback more quickly. So your supervisor don't have to read the whole manuscript, and you'd have to wait for a long time for them to read, because they might find that they need more time to write the whole manuscript. But writing one section of the manuscript it will take a few minutes to half an hour or maybe 1 hour the most. Yeah. Before you begin, what is the focus of your paper? Yeah, this will ask yourself. What is the research question? What is it important? Is it unknown, limitation, and controversy? So ask yourself what is your research question? What are your aim? What's your objective? What do you plan to do to achieve? Yeah. How to directly related to the problem? So what problem statement you try to solve? Yeah. Yeah, what is the conclusion? How does it answer the question, and how is advance the field? So after you know that your finding, so how this finding help to answer the question, how they help to solve the problem you mentioned, and how they advance the field, how they add in the knowledge in your field. Always remember this before you start the introduction. You should ask why did you do the study? And the method, you ask, what do you do? And result discussion, what do you find? And conclusion, how does your study advance the field? This is always important to know, to ask yourself when you write each section. Yeah, when you write introduction, you should ask why this study be carried out. Yeah, method, what method you select, why you select this method, justify them. And result discussion is to ask what. You know that once you have achieved what you have been solving. Yeah, and conclusion is how that will advance the field, how this contribute to the knowledge. Yeah, and what is the future direction. So the first component of your paper is the title. They will improve your visibility, so people will cite your work. Yeah, important to get a reader attention. Important drawing is state what is important in your title, contain the keywords, less than 20 words. Then try to avoid the question format, describing the method or aberration, new and novel. So these are the things that you try to avoid. So write a effective title that what the reader want to know. Yeah, you should ask. Include 3 important factors: variable, outcome, sample. What are so the title should be able to contain these 3 components. So, for example, this is the title taken from this journal. Okay, a good example: physiological plasticity increase the resilience of the ectothermic animals to climate change. You see how to describe this title. You see that the physiological plasticity is available that you play with the variable that you play in your study. Then what is the outcome from this study? The silent to the climate change, and sample is an endothermic animal. So the subject here is an endothermic animal. Then play what the variable you play with is a physiological plasticity, and the outcome is silent to climate change. So you can see that this is the example of the title. Another good example that the water scale integration of group 3 to 5 laser on the silicon using the transfer printing of epitaxial layers. So you can see that the variable or condition is the transfer printing of epitaxial layers. So these are the variable you try to play around with the effect of what. So what's the outcome? The water scale integration. Yeah. And what is the sample of subject? So group 3 to 5 laser on silicon. So you try to structure your title using these 3 components. What do you avoid? Editor hate the title that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately. Avoid jargon, symbol, formula, and variation. Delayed tribal phrase that note on a study of the title that end with a question mark are seldom acceptable. It doesn't mean that you cannot put in a question, but usually are not favorable unless you are invited to write. You are an expert or something that the editor invite you to write something on the topic that you intentionally put that to bring the attention of the reader. So here is a bad example of the title: Effect of Physiological Plasticity and Endothermic Animal to Climate Change. So here the effect is not clear. What effect you mean here? Yeah, you force the reader to read the abstract to identify what is the effect you try to mean in your title. So this is not really needed to put that word effect here. So some journal request that you put highlight a statement of novelty. Highlight consists of a short collection of bullet points that convey the core finding of the article, including 3 to 5 bullet points, maximum 85 characters, including space and per bullet point. Statement of novelty that explain why the work should be published, then address the significance or novelty of the work with respect to existing literature, usually about 100 words maximum document. and the scientific impact and interest to our leadership. That there's a requirement that you should put in the statement of novelty. Abstract tell the prospective reader that what you did and what were the important finding. There's advertisement of article, make it interesting and easy to understood without reading the whole article. Avoid using the jargon and uncommon abbreviation if possible. You must be accurate and specific. Use words and reflect the precise meaning. Do not cite reference, tables, and figures. So in the abstract, I always many times that I told my students try not to put any reference in the abstract. Yeah, some students has put some reference. Yeah, even in the conclusion they put a reference. That's not necessary. Yeah, that's not needed. In fact, that's not really allowed to do that. Yeah. When you sit down and write your first draft, ask yourself this question when you find abstract is very important, especially there's the first thing that after the title, the editor will read. Yeah, the editor will try to understand your work, whether you can accept it or fall into the scope of your journal. So what they do is that they don't spend much time to read through the whole article, but they will read the abstract. So you make sure that you ask yourself this question before you prepare abstract. Why did you do the study? Why did the study relevant and so important? And what method do you use? And what did you learn? What can you conclude from this? These are the questions that when you prepare your abstract. If effective abstract, remember your reader. Your reader don't have time to read everything published in their field. You extract every day to stay up to date and do all the research on the field. So some people just read extract just to know that what the latest development in the field, So your extract often the only thing that is read by your peer. You don't think that your peer, the people in the field, will read every single work published in your field. Most of the time, they just want to keep awake that what's the latest development by reading the abstract of the latest publication. So the abstract is the first impression of your paper. First impression to leader in the field, do I want to download and read this new paper? So they need to impress people. So the abstract must be impressive. So the first impression of potential reviewer, we try to impress a reviewer so that they think that's a piece of work. Yeah, if we provide them a good impression in the abstract, the chances for your paper to be accepted will be higher. So, like just now, what the question we put before you write your abstract is that what did the study need to be done? Introduce topic and problem. What did you do? Your aim and methodology. What did you find? The key result. How the study advanced the field. Conclusion and implication. Here's a good example. Yeah, the red color highlight the first question. Why this study need to be done? The navy blue the color here say that what you did and what you found, then followed by how to advance the field in the conclusion and before the conclusion. So usually after the abstract, then you have to provide a keyword, mainly used for indexing and searching. Is a label of the manuscript, avoid word on the board meaning, but neither use too narrow term, get into the Google groove. Then only abbreviation that firmly established in the field are eligible. Like for example, DNA. People understand what is DNA, so it's okay. Check the guide author, number, label, abbreviation, treasurer's range, and other special requests. So after the abstract, the foreign section is introduction. What you know the known about the topic. Up-to-date study, you are familiar with the current state of the field, the topic of the current interest. Cite broadly, widely, worldwide, you are not regional bias, the topic is international interest. So to introduce the topic at the beginning of your abstract, so you like reverse pyramid, you you introduce generally, then broad and specialized audience. What is known, followed by what is known about the topic, up-to-date study. It's almost, introduction is not only serve as a background, but also with the literature review. Yeah, unlike your thesis, you have one chapter on the literature review, but in journal, you combine your introduction chapter and also your literature review in one page or one half page. Yeah, one paragraph, in a few paragraphs. Yeah. So in the introduction, you need to introduce some general background, then narrow down to what the latest development in the field. Then when what is unknown, what's the problem need to be solved, and then what's the objective, followed by objective. Usually at the end of the introduction, you write your objective of the study. So this here is an example of the introduction. After the introduction, there will be material and method. That's how was the problem we study, include the detailed information so that the knowledgeable reader can reproduce the experiment. Your experiments will be able to reproduce. I will use reference as supplementary material to indicate the previous published procedure. If some detailed procedure have been published previously and you just follow their procedure, you can cite their work. Okay, yeah. The detailed step of preparing certain sample follow the procedure reported by who and who and in what year. Okay, so you don't have to repeat again all the detailed step. Yeah, so you can cite that, or maybe you can put in the supplementary material. Yeah, do not repeat detail and submit method. The general summary plus reference is sufficient. Yeah. The reviewer will recognize incomplete and incorrect description and maybe even recommend rejection if we are not completed. So here is the example of the material method. Result is what you have found. Give the result general trend first and then some detailed observation, the achievement, integration, and innovation, principle, and application. Provide in-depth discussion whenever appropriate and necessary. So the interpretation, the application, discovery of fundamental, impact of real-world practice, equal or discriminate others. So depending on what type of the result that you presented them. Check if the objective can be achieved and don't extend it too far. So guide your reader through the finding logical presentation for the result. It should start with introduction, development, and important. For example, fabricate the new membrane for treatment. This is an introduction. Evaluate the physical and chemical property under the different temperature and pressure. Then efficiency in the removing the particular contaminant. So this is the sequence of the result. So guide your reader through the findings. So one result, one paragraph. Okay. So don't mix up too much. Okay. Maybe so guide them, discuss them. Yeah. For each table, for figure that you introduce them, then discuss the data, then summarize the finding. So indicate with the label that number correctly so that where the reader know that which table or which figure you refer to. Yeah. So if that's here, you say table 3, so the reader will check on the table 3 to examine what your result you mentioned here. Yeah. Yeah, this table 3. So they refer to table 3. This is an example of the result reporting. Discussion, summarize what you did, they introduce the topic, they state the research problem, summarize the key finding. Yeah. So interpolate your finding. similarity and different, unexpected and negative result, and limitation. So you can explain that your result, discuss your result. Yeah, what is the similarity with the previous work and what's the difference between them, and what expected and unexpected result, and what's the limitation of your design or experiment. Yeah, so can I mention all this? Why important to the field is you had to highlight that what's the main conclusion and implication. So for the result, you should emphasize that what you're finding contribute. The last part of the manuscript is conclusion. The last thing that is read is what is remembered most by your reader about your study. Yeah. What the reader want do you want the reader to remember? The main conclusion is the solution to the problem. The key finding is 1 to 2 important findings. Then implication contribute to the field, and future direction, how your work can be further developed. So in conclusion, you include all these elements. So here is the example of conclusion with the conclusion of the finding. Then key finding, the conclusion state that what the solution of the problem, then key finding, then the implication of future work. Avoid and deep implication. Yeah, some people trying to put the implication as simple as possible. This study provides new insight. This study gives us a better understanding. Oh, what we mentioned new insight? What insight do you mean here? And what understanding? Yeah, how does the study improve our understanding? That's where the implication is not clear. So better or more specific. Reference is the last part of the work. Yeah, typically there are more mistakes in the reference than any other part of the manuscript. Cite the main specific publication on which your work is based. Do not inflate the manuscript too many reference. It doesn't make it better manuscript. Yeah, this is a common mistake. People think that the more reference, the better. It look like they have done a good job if they have a lot of citation. And avoid the excessive self-citation. You can sell your own work before previously published, but not too much. Okay, and avoid excessive citation or publication from the same region. That one is not important. So data presentation are very important. Yeah, so don't crowd your data set. Yeah, make it so easier for them to see. Yeah, and each photograph must have a skill, especially you are working on the TM, SEM photo, when you study on the material science, biological science, or whatever. Use color only when necessary. If different line type, I can clarify the meaning. Never use color. Never use color or other training effect. Then color need to be visible and distinguishable when printed out in black and white, and do not include long pouring tables. Language also important. Yeah, use English throughout the manuscript. Make sure that the right picture are at the right place with the correct number. Yeah, this is also important. Yeah, make sure that don't mix up with other language in your manuscript. So you can try to apply some creativity in your presentation of your figures and tables. Yeah. These are the few examples I took from the journals. Yeah. You can see that how the creativity present their figures. Yeah. So use a little bit on your creativity. And this is one of the example I take from my own paper from chemistry. Yeah, you see that they combine the table and the equation into a table in the flow diagram. So use your own creativity to present your data. The publishing tips. Editor and reviewer are looking for original and innovative research that add to the field of study. Key are for research-based paper, ensure that you have enough number to justify social sound statistical conclusion. For a larger study, it may be better to produce one important research paper rather than a number of average incremental paper. Easier way to ensure your writing is clear and engaging: introduce only one idea per sentence. Don't use double negative, for example, not uncommon. Avoid over repetition of information. And be careful not to overcomplicate it by using the variety of terminology to refer to the same phenomena. Draw clear and specific link between the idea. Don't rely on the reader to connect the dot themselves. So make sure that it's clear and logic. Be specific and direct. Try to avoid filler word and generative like very often or different sources. Instead, say how often, exactly, and describe which sources in particular and how you identify them. So make it very specific and clear. So these are the example how the reviewer are used for to evaluate the journal paper. Different journal have a different format, yeah. But usually these are the questions that the reviewer sometimes may be asked, may be used to evaluate or assess your manuscript. Comment for reviewer. These are some comments for reviewer. The originality of paper needs to be further clarified. The present form does not have sufficient result to justify the novelty and of a high quality journal paper. Yeah, this is a common statement that the reviewer give. Yeah, they find that your work is not novel enough or don't have enough data to support the novelties. The proofreading of a native English speaker should be conducted to improve both language and organizational quality. So usually when you find that your English or your language have so many errors, then they will suggest that you do a proofreading. The abstract should be revised to clarify the center of focus of the paper. Then update and complete literature reviews should be concluded. The results should be further elaborated to show how they could be used for the real application. And these are among the comments of the reviewer. Put your very best manuscript forward. So most journals editor interested in the science behind your study than your typo and grammar. So, now making your manuscript easy to understand, you enable editor and reviewer to easily make sense of your research and help to ensure that fast and fair assessment. So yeah, the content is still essential, although the language or something might be affected, but you have to make it as interesting as possible. And the grant, yeah, guideline to write a successful research paper is that use a unique style of writing, so concern of your language or style. You have a clear understanding of your content to understand what you try to present. Then the writing should be simple, avoid unnecessary jargon, and develop in-depth knowledge of the subject. Then use an innovative idea, a way to justify your research work. Yeah, explain the different scientific terminology by provide a track of bibliography to strictly follow the specification of the approving the publishing authority. Then thoroughly proofread from top to bottom of the research paper. These are as overall, this is a summary of the tips at the grant that you serve as a guideline for your writing. If you forget, or maybe you think that the earlier presentation of the earlier note is too long for you, so take the note on this, a quick look at this few points that will serve as a basic guideline for your work. Before the end and to the very last, I should want to highlight the ethical issue in research. Yeah, recently I'm not actually listening. In fact, that many have been assisting that the ethical issue in the research publication. I mean that it's not new. Yeah, even 20 years ago, I also found that the misconduct in the publication have happened. It's just that that time without the internet, that's difficult to catch in the red hand that those people misconduct in the publication. So publish or perish. If you break the critical the rule. If you try to break or you misconduct your research work. International scientific ethics have evolved over centuries and are commonly held throughout the world. Scientific ethics are not considered to have national variant and characteristic. There's a single ethical standard for science. Ethic problems with scientific articles are not on the rise globally. Yeah, it's still rising. Yeah, what is misconduct? Yeah, this including the fabrication, facilitation, and plagiarism. Yeah, in performing and review other research and on reporting research result. Fabrication is making up data or result that recording and reporting them. Specification is that to manipulate the result material, equipment, process, and changing or omitting the data or results such that the research does not accurately represent the research record. And plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's idea, process, result, or word without giving appropriate credit. Research misconduct do not include the honest error and different opinion. So if you have a honest error and a different opinion, that's not a misconduct. Yeah, misconduct including you manipulate them. Yeah, you change the record, try to make up your data, try to manipulate in your data, mislead your reader, and or copy other people's work or idea. So especially the plagiarism, especially if we look at the UPM practice also, the graduate school are very emphasized on the problem of plagiarism. Before you submit your final thesis or something, they actually ask you to go through the Turnitin analysis, so to see that how many % of similarity of your work with the previous reported work. Yeah, this is to avoid the plagiarism. In journal publication, some journals also ask you to go through certain procedures to ensure that you have a low similarity of the previous reported work to avoid the plagiarism. Plagiarism basically can divided into two categories. Plagiarism using the idea of work another person without giving appropriate credit, or self-plagiarism, the verbatim copying the reuse one's own research. Both type plagiarism are considered to be unacceptable practice and scientific literature. So, according to one article published in Nature in 2008, there's a suspicious that duplication rate in the two countries, China and Japan, from the 1975 to 2005, based on the study period. Then they find that there are repeating words. Perhaps that the complexity of translation between the different script, different in the ethnic training and cultural norm contribute to the elevated duplication rate of these two countries. So this, I think this is probably because of the practice. Like my ex-supervisor told me that when he studied in Japan, one of the practice in Japan during his time is that the Japanese researcher will never publish their work first in the international journal of publication, but rather publish them in the national conference proceeding or the national journal before they submit for the international journal. Yeah, so there might be the reason that causes the duplication of the work. Yeah. Other type of ethical violation: duplicate, replication, submission of research finding, failure to inform the editor related to the paper that author have been considered in press. Yeah. So don't submit. Then you should tell that your editor if your paper has been accepted in press, and reveal the conflict of interest that could affect the interpretation of the finding, misrepresentation of the research finding, use of selective fraudulent data to support the hypothesis or claim. These are the the misconduct of the correction. How journal detect and handle problem paper? Information received from the reviewer or other editor. So it could be from the reviewer itself or from other editor that have reviewed a paper before. Literature search for related paper by author, and also withdrawal of the paper from publication. So once that they found that you have misconduct, they will withdraw your paper from publication. And they're banning the author from publication in the journal for 3 to 5 years, and informing the co-author, the editor, or related journal of their action. So for less serious case, placing the author on the watch list and careful examination of their submission prior to requesting review. So in the case that they are suspect that you misconduct, but they're yet to have enough proof that, so they'll put in the watch list. Yeah. These are examples that shown in previously. That you see on the top is the original paper, and the bottom is a plagiarism paper. On the left-hand side, that the author only changing certain thing. Yeah. Sorry, the circle. The circle is a memo. Yeah, you can see that they only change the title, two data, and the two data here is a symbol. The rest are all the same. And here they manipulate the number, yeah, to 20 nanometer, they change it to 15 nanometer, but the whole result are the same by labeling, changing the labeling. So once they caught you in the hand, they will retract the paper. Yeah, it's obtained from the Sign Direct. If you search the keyword sign, put the retracted word in the Sign Direct searching, then you find a list of paper that retracted in the Sign Direct. So here are the research carried out, reported in the Science in year 2009, the Science Journal. Yeah, the researcher conduct a research on the possible plagiarism and select 212 pairs of articles with sign of potential plagiarism in this study. So they found 86.2% similarity between the original article and the duplicate, 73.1% of average number of share reference. Only 47 or 22.2% duplicate beside the original article as a reference. And 71.4% of the manuscript pair share at least one highly similar or identical table of figures. 42% also contain incorrect calculation, data inconsistency, and reproduce or manipulate the photograph. The increasing ability of scientific fact literature in the World website have proven to be a double-edged sword, allowing the plagiarism to be more easily committed while simultaneously bearing the simple detection through the use of the automated software. You see, with the help of internet, that people are much easier to do the plagiarism. However, at the same time, people are much easier to detect the misconduct by the authors. So responding for the possible plagiarism, the response for the duplicate author, they are quite worried. So 28% deny anyone doing, 35% admitted having borrowed the previous published material, 22% were from the co-author claiming no involvement on the writing of the manuscript, 70% claimed that they were unaware of their name appear on the article. For the last two response, that's inappropriate because why? Some journal request that you to highlight what role they play by the co-author in the manuscript. Yeah, some journal insist that you have to state that the role of each author in they have their name on the manuscript. Yeah. 93% of the original authors were not aware of the duplicate existence. The journal auditor primarily confirmed receipt and addressed the issue involving the policy and potential action. Here are the selected response from the authors. There are probably only X amount of the word that combination that could lead to Y amount of the statement. I have no idea what the piece of similar, except that I am not sure that I'm good enough memory. So people give it all sorts of skills. Yeah. The other one said that I'm not involved in the article. I have no idea why my name is included. And this article mainly done by a young fellow doctor and who and make the collection in the next and in the text and complete the article. Unfortunately, Dr. Who had died in January this year, and so I can't ask him anyway for the reason. I am not a native English speaker, so I do have the problem with expressing my idea. And you and other English language speakers are lucky from this point of view. To be honest with you, I was not aware of the fact that I need to take permission of the author of the original article. As such, I am facing many difficulties and hardship in my personal life. See, they will link the personal life into their misconduct. The corresponding author have been my teacher and a very good one, and that from whom I have learned anything and respect for him was almost level until I found that he had been plagiarizing paper for all over the world. This is ridiculous. Anyway, these are the true response that they reported in the Science journal in this article. There are dozens of permission on free tools that are available in the detection mechanism. Yeah, nowadays you can't highly hide you can hide, but not that easy from your misconduct, because there are more and more tools available in the internet that help the editor and reviewer to detect the plagiarism or misconduct of the authors. So try to avoid this misconduct in because the ethic in the research publication is important to maintain the reputation and quality of the researcher works. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof, for this wonderful sharing of your experience. So now we can take some questions. Is there any questions from the participants? You can unmute yourself and you can ask the question directly.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Salam.
Thank you for your presentation. Very clear and simple to understand. Yes. Okay. One quick question about the self-plagiarism.
Yeah.
I recently finished my thesis.
Yeah.
So if I want to use the content of my thesis, can I do that for publication? Can I do that with minor editing on my content without self-plagiarism?
Yes, that one is a two different thing. Yeah. You obtain your data, your discussion from your thesis. Your thesis is over. Yeah. So some people will say, "Oh, you have self-plagiarism your thesis." Yeah. What I mean the self-plagiarism here is not mean that you self-plagiarism your thesis. You obtain the data, proof of motivation on your work. Then you're presented in the journal. That's allowable. What I mean here is that some people they already reported their finding in the conference. They already published in the conference proceeding. Then without changing anything, or maybe they just add one or two paragraphs, and most of the almost everything in the conference they exactly presented in a journal paper. That is not really favorable in the way to practice it. I know that some people do that. They first presented in a conference paper, then they further presented in the journal paper. I would encourage, if you ever reporting your data before, and you find to send it for journal, do some changes of your work, extending the discussion, extending the result, or maybe put more result, and extend your abstract, introduction, put more information. So restructure again the work. Yeah. Then it wouldn't be considered as self-plagiarism. Yeah. What I mean self-plagiarism is that I give you an example that I found in about almost 18 years ago, which happened to one of our ex-staff in in my department. Now he's no longer here. The funny thing is that the iconically happened is that this guy who committed the misconduct now become a professor in one of the famous university in Africa, South Africa. So he's my ex-colleague. It's not good to say that, but he was discovered and being warned by the editor of journal from being misconduct by self-plagiarism. What he did is that, like what you say, he used his data from his thesis and he published the data from the thesis. But this is fine. You are allowed to do that. But what he did is that he manipulated the arrangement of the data. Even they make some modification of the range of data, the same data which he had published before, but he manipulated the diagram, manipulate the order of the result. Then he submitted to 5 to 7 journal with almost a similar set of data. I mean that this data had been reported before, but he used again and submit to another journal. This is what I mean the self-plagiarism. Actually, because he take advantage that time, the internet is still at the very beginning. Yeah, especially for journal publication. During the time, most of the journal are submit by post or mail. So even internet are not that good as the search. Imagine that time you don't have Google. You don't have Google. Most of us still using Yahoo and Netscape and navigation and other search engine which are not that popular. We don't even have SciDirect. We don't even have Scopus that time. So you see, we can actually cheating the editor and reviewer because they find it very difficult to detect the plagiarism, your self-plagiarism behavior. So, but nowadays, if you do that, you can easily detect it. In fact, I detected one of my colleague. Sorry to say that. I don't want to say who's that. My colleague and his student actually self-plagiarism with almost 80% of the similarity of 2 journals. Yeah, one paper already published in one of the famous journal, and he used almost 80% of the similar work and tried to submit to another journal. When I served as a reviewer, I found that this work had been published, almost 80% had been published before. So, and the funny thing is that the author is one of my colleagues, not from my department, but from UPM. So it's very difficult for me. So I have to tell the truth that this is not a very professional. If you do that, if I reported to the editor something that he might be banned from the journal, or even they will distribute your name to all the similar journal with the editor of the journal from the similar field. So that is really a punishment to the researcher. Yeah. So what I mean here, plagiarism here, you plagiarism your data and you try to replicate it and submit to many papers. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, that's why I say that self-plagiarism here. Not mean that you self-plagiarism your data from thesis to journal. That's allowed, but you should make it a different way, because in thesis, your elaboration can be longer, can be more. You might put too many results, but in your journal you are more specific. So some motivation is needed. That one we don't consider as self-plagiarism. Would I answer your question?
Yes, Prof. Because previously I sent a journal and I checked myself the detonating. Like 75% for my thesis. So
yeah. I think that one you have to ask the your help, the librarian or your sponsor, explaining to them, ask them to help you if you're using the account the Turnitin, sometimes you explain to the librarian. I did ask the librarian to help my student, because why? My student had published the journal before he submitted his thesis. And of course, when he submitted the thesis and do a Turnitin test, the Turnitin showed that he had a lot of possibility from what the content of his thesis with the publication, but actually his own publication. So I asked the librarian helped him to remove the part of the similarity. That they can set the setting in the Turnitin, because you are not doing the plagiarism. It's all your own work. So you can actually ask the librarian to help you to do the setting in the Turnitin, so that you remove the similarity, because it's on your own work. Yeah, your thesis, you submit your thesis first to the Turnitin. So that's why the Turnitin have a record of your thesis. When you want to submit your journal, then the Turnitin will say, okay, this is plagiarism. Actually, your plagiarism, your own thesis. This one you need to get help from the librarian, or you can self-setting your Turnitin setting to remove those parts from the thesis. Okay, yeah, you can do that. They can actually remove that. Yeah, this is allowable because it's your own work. Yeah, it's not yet published publicly. Yeah, of course, we consider thesis as a publication, but thesis is not shared among everybody, so it's still okay. So
Thank you so much.
You can get the help from librarian if you need it on your sponsor.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay, I hope this helps. Thanks.
Really helps.
Okay.
Hi, Prof.
Yes.
Thank you so much for just now presentation. It's benefit me a lot. Prof, I would like to ask, have you come across the situation where you have submitted your manuscript to the journal, and then the status is awaiting reviewer selection for a few months already, and then you did follow up with the editor, and then the editor told that actually the reviewer didn't respond, not yet received their feedback, anything. So in this situation, if you will, if Prof, would you continue to stay on in this journal, or you make a move to withdraw your manuscript and submit to another journal? So Prof, what is your opinion?
Okay, you are asking the right question. I currently also facing one situation on that. And okay, I share with you some experience many years ago. Yeah, then I share with you my current experience. Many years ago, when I was still a young researcher, I submit. I think that's about 15 years ago. I mean, maybe 15 years ago. Yeah, I submit a journal. One of the journal from Taylor & Francis publisher. So I've been waiting for almost 6 months. They never respond anything. Yeah, they didn't tell me that what's happened. It's a paper I've been reviewed or something. So I sent a message to the editor. Then the editor said that the paper under review. So I'm waiting for a few months. Then I sent again. And what happened is that this time I'm very unhappy, because the response of the editor is directly reject me without giving any reason. He just reject. I think he's fed up. I keep chasing him. I think this is not very professional. At the time I'm too young. I don't realize that I can actually complain to the publisher or even to the chief editor. Because sometimes who handle your journal is not from the chief editor. It could be from the associate editor or regional editor or whatever. So That time I just get angry and I say, okay, I will never submit any paper to this journal. I don't do that. But this is not an appropriate way to do that. Okay, let me share with you my current experience. I have one paper from my PhD student submitted last year. And we have been waiting for so long. And this time experience is not very pleasantly also. We submit that, then after a few months, we got a feedback from the reviewer, and we do a correction. Then we submit it again. There's certainly no news for almost 8 months. We keep in between 3 months we send the editor, and eventually we decide to write the editor-in-chief. Yeah, and ask request. Then certainly we receive that people need to send again to the reviewer. They cannot find a reviewer. I think the time we already have a reviewer comment. Why you need to send to the reviewer again? Maybe that's one thing is like that. If it happen in this case, is that because if you are served as a reviewer, they will always ask you after you complete a review, they ask you, do you want to serve as a reviewer again for the revision version? Some reviewer refuse to serve the reviewer as a reviewer again. So what happened is that even you've done your correction, your paper is still pending for the second revision review. Then the editor had to find a new reviewer to review your correction. Sometimes they will happen like case like what you mentioned, that no response pending. This is the issue. Okay, so I decided to write the editor, and the editor decided to also do the publisher again, so that the publisher gives the pressure to the editor. So eventually, in November we get the paper accepted. It took me almost 2 years. Okay, then another case I submit to one of the Elsevier journal. It's also early this year. Until now, we keep asking the editor, we get a response like you. They're still looking for the reviewer. Yeah, they say they cannot find an appropriate reviewer willing to review this journal. I'm not sure how exactly true, but I give myself some period of time. Okay, let's see. Okay. In fact, why I don't, my case is a little bit different from you is that I already have one reviewer send a comment, and they're waiting for another reviewer because they need at least 2 reviewers to decide the decision. So the problem is the second reviewer, they cannot get it. That's a problem. That's a problem that my case is pending almost 1 year. So in this station, I feel a bit more difficult than you because I already have one reviewer comment and already made a correction. Now I'm waiting for the decision making. And this, if you encounter this station, one thing is that you can pressurize the editor, not with a very nice way. Write to them, keep writing to them. You have been waiting. Almost every 2 months you can write to them if you're willing to wait. If not, you can withdraw the papers and submit to another journal. For your station, if you have been waiting for so long, that they're still giving the excuse that there's no pending for reviewer, no reviewer, suitable reviewer, then I would advise you that maybe you should think for submitting to another journal. Yeah, no way, no point to wait for the journal for so long that no one want to respond. Yeah. Because the editor might be not very keen to do, or maybe they are too busy to handle your articles. Before you do that, you can try to write to the publisher manager or journal manager. If you submit to Elsevier, usually each journal in Elsevier journal, they have a journal manager that responds for that. You can reflect your problem to the journal manager. Let the journal manager communicate with the editor and see what they respond. If they seem giving the same excuses, usually after the journal manager consult the editor will direct respond to the author. Yeah, explaining what the situation now. If you find that you have been waiting for so long, my advice is that withdraw the paper and submit to another journal. Yeah, one thing I forget to highlight in my talk is that next time when you submit your journal paper, before you submit your journal paper, before I decide to submit to that particular journal, check the most recent issue, most recent volume. Yeah, let's say you want submit to Catalyst today, or maybe you want to submit to industry crop and products. Okay, check the journal before the latest issue or latest volume. Check a few issue. Why? Check the article. Go there. Go to the site direct. Go to whatever on their journal website. Check the journal. See the latest publication. How long it takes from submitted to accepted. Yeah, submitted to review. Yeah, if they usually take for so long to review, then it means that this journal could be dragging a long time before they make decision. Yeah, usually you better check. Elsevier, a lot of Elsevier journal now they push for fast publication. So it means that fast decision. Usually they will put an indicator that in their journal website, the metric that this journal usually average time of reviewing how long, 8 weeks to 1 month, 2 weeks or 2 months, they will put there. You can check all this metric in the journal website. If not, check on the latest few issue of the journal to see that from submitted to revision, how long it takes. Yeah, submitted. Usually the journal will put there the submitted, revision, accepted, published date on the journal itself. If you check most of the journal in the Elsevier or maybe some of the famous journal, they all usually are cited there. Some of them cited on the paper itself, some of them put on the website, the link, the website of the article itself. So you can check, always check this information before you decide to submit to that journal. That will save you some problem. Yeah, even the Elsevier journals, because sometimes some Elsevier journal they are not managed by the Elsevier itself, and some of the journal that belong to the university, let's say from Concise University, the Journal of Arabic Chemistry, Arabic Journal of Chemistry, they are managed by the University of Concise University. So sometimes it's quite slow for them to handle those articles. So some are managed by the society. So they use the Elsevier as a publisher. So the best indicator is to check the journal for the latest few issues, see how fast they handle the publication. Some like last time Journal of Arabic Journal of Chemistry or something, I can't remember exactly. So for one time, I checked the latest issue, the latest printed issue is actually about 2 years ago. I mean that how slow they're actually handling the article. So if you have this journal, you might be aware that to submit to this journal, you have to prepare that the slow processing of the article. So better try not to avoid this type of journal. Usually they have a long processing time. Yeah. Yeah. So if it takes longer than you expect, my advice is submit to other journal. Yeah. There's no point to wait for too long unless you really desperate want to get a journal. Yeah. If you are aiming for Q1 or top 1% journal, there are many of them. Yeah, you can check the JCR. Yeah, you can check JCR. There are a lot of journal that in your field. Yeah, not necessarily have to aim for one journal. Yeah, but you insist that you want a journal, then my advice is that write to the journal manager and let them tell the editor your feedback, give your feedback to the editor. Let them discuss with the editor what happened you face. Yeah, usually the editor will more prepare to listen to the journal publisher. Yeah, because they're under pressure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
Thank you for your advice. Thanks.
Is there any question?
It's almost 2 hours. Yeah, you come to contact me. So you can share my contact with them, my email to them. Maybe if any of them interested to communicate, we can communicate. I will also can share the note to Zoho, but might need a little bit of time because this slide I can share with you, but just for personal use because part of the materials I use it for my student lecturing purpose. So I hope that you don't misuse the lecture. So for me, knowledge is sharing. I don't really keep it for myself. Okay, no problem. You can always have my slide. Yeah, for your own reference. You can contact Zoho for the slide later. I'll share with him. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
So I think there is no more question. So can I take on group photo if everyone is ready? Maybe like this I can take. Is there anyone wanna join with us? If you are ready. Okay, so I will take on group photo now. So please keep smiling. Okay, thank you. I've already captured the photo. So thank you so much once again for joining us today. And later I will share the presentation slides when I get from Prof.
Okay, thank you very much.
The recording also I will
Thank you
share.
very much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
So thank you everyone. Thank you,
you,
Prof,
Prof.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.